Good day, Ma'am Chai, as well as to my classmates. We are the Group 4 and we will be discussing to you our designated topic, which is about risk and disadvantages of heritage tourism. So, what comes to your mind whenever you hear the word risk or disadvantages? Maybe it's all about threats, negative impacts, or even factors that affects the success of a particular site. So going through, let's have first hear our learning objectives.
The learning objectives comprehend what is heritage tourism, explain the effects of international and domestic travel, identify the pros and cons offered by the heritage tourism, discuss the impacts of mismanaged tourism, determine the examples of poorly and well-managed tourism attraction, significance of tourism and heritage sectors, understand the strategy in maintaining tourism sites. What is heritage tourism? According to the National Trust for Historic Preservation, traveling to experience the places, artifacts, and activities that authentically represent the stories and people of the past and present.
Allow me to discuss to you our introduction. The rapid growth of both international and domestic travel affects a particular heritage site. So, whether the number of tourists annually increases or decreases in a particular site, it has also a contribution and effects in the economy of the country. So that effects varies in two ways. It's either promote or destroy the area depending on the implemented rules of a place to protect it. So it promotes in a way of, for example, a visitor visit the Mayon volcano and she was satisfied with the attraction there and she'll post that on her social media account and it has a huge possibilities that a lot of people will go to Mayon volcano and destroy in a way of, for example, a lot of visitors overuse the resources present in the area. So travelers brought the future of their target destination and they're expending a lot of money to satisfy themselves during their travel. Of course, travelers are important in the prosperity of economy. So they can contribute to a country in a way of buying local products. Of course, for example, a visitor visits Malupati here in Pandan and they saw a lot of native products. So they purchase that product in order to have a souvenir from their travel. So it's about buying the local products of Antique. So second is utilizing facilities. For example, in Mayon Volcano again, a lot of visitors wanted to experience how does it feel to go near the Mayon volcano. So they um, pay for ATV rentals in order for them to experience that feeling. So lastly, we have here traveling to different destinations within a particular country. So if the tourists are spending more than one day on a place, it is more beneficial to them as well as the place. Of course, if the visitor stays longer on that country, they will understand the lifestyle of the locals and it will become or it will benefit the place as well. It's because they need to pay for their food, for their rentals and other fees that they have during their stay. So therefore, tourism multiplier effects happen. So multiplier effects occur, for example, when a visitor pays for her car rentals in a certain hotel, and that hotel will send their car to a car wash in order for them to clean the car, and the payment of the visitor will go to the car wash company, and that company will pay the car washer or their employees in order for them to feed their family. So that's the beauty of tourism.
We are grateful to travel, to discover the world, or to live as global citizens. There are lots of benefits and disadvantages to heritage tourism. If done correctly, heritage tourism can be a fantastic way to discover another culture, location, or history. But if it is done incorrectly, it can be disastrous, not just for the culture, but also for the society, and may bring irrevocable environmental issues. The benefits: first, we have helps others discover culture. It helps each one of us to understand the culture of others while learning from their practices and beliefs, discovering new knowledge that helps us to understand the differences between other cultures and ours. Second, can give an economic boost. Without heritage tourism, there would be many cultures that cannot survive or sustain themselves. Through heritage travel, a country is earning and creating income to sustain the living of the people. Third, we have preserves culture and history. If without tourism, there would not be such thing as preserving historical sites, but because of the heritage tourism that creates income for people or nations invest in preserving to ensure that culture of and aspects remain as alive. Fourth, we have creation of local employment and strengthen economies. As tourism became more fast growing, a lot of tourism attractions been discovered that gives chance to local people to have jobs and strengthen economic cash flows. Last, diversifies tourism experience. So let's go with the disadvantages of heritage tourism. There are disadvantages of heritage tourism. This can lead to other issues in culture or country. The problem is that if heritage tourism is not done correctly, it can turn into a social or cultural problem. First, disadvantages can turn a culture into a circus act. This means that the culture will be lost and hurt by heritage tourism if it's not preserved and practiced in correct manners. Second, destroy the culture or location. If the tourism carrying capacity of that place exceeded to the numbers of the tourists that should visit the place, there is a tendency that the location might destroy, especially its landscape. Third, can hurt the environment. Heritage tourism can hurt the environment, especially if there is a tour, because there is a lot of people present in that place that might result to overpopulation and land pollution because of the ill-managed waste. Fourth, antisocial activities. Fifth, encourage displacement of locals. In order to maintain the unique form of a site, people should follow the way the site built. If they are not allowed to stay on that place. Sixth, exploitation of natural resources. As people became more eager to earn, they were going to use all the available resources prior to their wants.
So this morning, we'll be discussing the impact of mismanaged heritage tourism. So every country aims to preserve, protect, and promote its heritage site considering the locals. The government should strategize how to preserve as well as educate the locals in how to foster those tourist attractions present in their community to retain the value of role in history. We all know that the heritage tourism embodies our identity. That's why it is very important to promote, preserve, and protect our heritage site in order for us to uplift the beauty of our historical site. Some of the negative impact of mismanaged heritage tourism are damage to the natural environment, such as footpath erosion, animals' habitat destroyed to build hotel, exploitations of cultural resources, environmental degradation, and other socio-cultural related impacts. These impacts will one of the prominent impact in heritage tourism if we people in the community are irresponsible and uneducated on how to manage and take care to preserve our very own heritage site. As well as it is very important that the government should provide immediate action to combat that mismanaged in heritage tourism and educating our local in the community about the bad effect of heritage tourism mismanagement. In addition, through the help of the different sector related on heritage protection, we can ensure that our heritage will be last memory to preserve in the present time, where many of us forget how to embrace and take care our own heritage site. Through that, our local and community can benefit, such as building of infrastructures, road and signs to promote access and visibility of heritage site, generating employment, whether through jobs or new businesses, both within the outside the heritage industry, increase community pride and awareness in heritage, reintroducing individuals to their culture roots and growing. So that would be the end of my topic for this morning. Hope you learned some information about the impact of mismanaged heritage tourism.
Overpopulation. Tourism has various effects on local populations, can result in the accommodation of culture, displacement, or dispossession of land, and changes in the values and lifestyle of local residents. Pollution. Tourism can cause the same forms of pollution as any other industry: air emissions, noise, solid waste, and littering releases of sewage oil and chemicals, even agricultural or visual population. Natural habitat loss. Tourism puts pressure on natural resources through overconsumption in places where resources are already scarce. Tourism puts enormous stress on local land use and can lead to soil erosion, increased pollution, natural habitat loss, and more pressure on endangered species. Disturbance of species from tourism activities can cause decrease in feeding time and increase in energy expenditure of animals, which degrade the health condition of animals and their reproductive ability. Destruction of natural resources. Tourism puts enormous stress on local land use and can lead to soil erosion, increased pollution and natural habitat loss, and more pressure on endangered species. Overuse of resource. The tourism industry generally overuses water resources for hotels, swimming pools, golf courses, or personal use of water by tourists. This can result in water shortages and degradation of water supplies as well as generating a greater volume of wastewater.
Poorly managed heritage site can pose major threats to the heritage significance of the place, damaging any of the property's natural or cultural values and degrading the quality of the visitor experience. Picture above shows an excessive number of visitors at a site or congestion that can result in disruption to the local community, excessive pressure on the infrastructure, and reduced welcome extended to the visitor, thereby adversely affecting political support for tourism. Additionally, can adversely impact the long-term conservation of a site, negatively altering the biodiversity of natural site or physical fabric and significance of a cultural site. On the contrary, well-managed heritage site significantly contributes to the socio-economic development of communities and in the enrichment of and safeguarding of the cultural identity of the destination, promoting cross-cultural exchanges between visitors and the particular community.
Today, I'm going to talk about the significance of tourism and heritage sectors. The tourism and heritage sectors are significant in maintaining prosperity of the country, in which they are responsible to promote the historical places and encourage tourists to visit the place. While people travel, there is income that comes to a certain places which also local people get benefits from. Local people get benefited financially from cultural heritage which was visited by tourists, which also helps them to preserve it. And if you are a good or responsible traveler, you'll not only bring good outcomes to your economy, but also to our environment and valuable things to our ancestors. They must combine to build a positive, dynamic, and responsive relationship between each other. If the two work closely together, then both will benefit from shared outcomes. If they do not, then neither tourism nor heritage has a sustainable future. Yes, the tourism and heritage sectors should work closely together in order for them to create a sense of unity throughout history and to have a sustainable future.
Good day, ma'am. So my topic is about strategy and maintaining heritage tourism site. So I have here some strategies. So first, understand general issues. Um, we need to understand the general issues when it comes to heritage tourism sites. And second, reducing the number of people who enter an area. It is also important when it comes to heritage tourism site. And third, weighing whether to disperse or concentrate visitors. And also changing the physical environment to resist impacts. Changing visitor behavior through implementing rules. It is also important if we have some rules and offering incentives for practicing certain activities. And also changing types of activity through regulation. Lastly, changing the site's social environment by reducing visitor conflicts. So the purpose of the strategies in maintaining heritage tourism site is it provides guidelines to tourism services in supporting the conservation of cultural and natural value, and it increases awareness of the site's World Heritage value. And this tourism strategy provides for site managers to provides a tool to manage sites efficiently, responsibly, and sustainably.
So that ends our discussion. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening.